My child. Stop scrolling for just one moment. Do not move past this message as though it appeared by accident, because something has shifted, something unexpected has unfolded, and the person your heart has never completely forgotten needs to speak to you immediately. They have tried to remain calm. They have tried to convince themselves that tomorrow would be soon enough. But after what just happened, silence no longer feels possible. Pause here and listen carefully, because heaven is drawing your attention toward a moment that has already begun moving behind the scenes. Your soulmate has discovered something that changed the way they see the distance between you. It did not arrive gently. It came suddenly, like a door opening in a room they believed had been locked forever. And now, every feeling they buried is rising back to the surface at once. Do not skip. The beginning may sound quiet, but something huge is waiting for you near the end of this message. For a long time, your soulmate has been living between two voices. One voice told them to move forward, to stop looking backward, to accept the silence and call it an ending. The other voice whispered your name when the room became still. It reminded them of what they felt around you, what they understood without words, and what they lost when fear became louder than love. They tried to silence that second voice. They filled their days with responsibilities. They smiled when others were watching. They changed the subject whenever someone mentioned relationships, timing, or the future. They told themselves that what was meant to happen would have happened already. Yet every time they came close to believing that story, something small brought you back. A familiar song. A place connected to a memory. A sentence spoken by someone who knew nothing about you. A dream that felt too real to dismiss. They kept receiving reminders, but they resisted them because remembering you meant facing the truth about themselves. It meant admitting that the distance was not created because they stopped caring. It was created because they did not know how to carry something so deep without becoming afraid of losing control. But today, something happened that made avoidance impossible. Your soulmate heard something they were never supposed to hear. It was not gossip. It was not a cruel accusation. It was not a message meant to manipulate them. It was a truth spoken in an ordinary moment by someone who did not realize how deeply their words would land. Your soulmate was not searching for answers, yet the answer found them. Stay till the end, because the detail that affected them most was not what anyone expected. The conversation began casually. Nothing about it seemed important. Your soulmate was distracted, half listening, carrying the familiar weight they have hidden for so long. Then your name, or something unmistakably connected to you, entered the conversation. In that instant, everything inside them became still. They did not react openly. They have become skilled at hiding what your name does to their heart. But inside, something tightened. They listened more closely. And what they heard challenged the version of the story they had been repeating to themselves. They discovered that you had been carrying more than they knew. They learned that your silence was not indifference. They realized that your distance may not have been rejection. And most painfully, they understood that while they were waiting for proof that you cared, you may have been waiting for the same proof from them. That realization struck them with unexpected force. For the first time, they saw the connection from your side instead of their own. They imagined the moments when you may have wanted to reach out but stopped yourself. They considered how their mixed signals, hesitation, or sudden withdrawal may have confused you. They remembered promises hidden inside conversations, tenderness hidden inside ordinary gestures, and the way your eyes once asked a question they were too afraid to answer. My child, this was not a small realization. It broke through a wall they had spent months, perhaps years, building. They walked away from that conversation appearing composed, but they were not composed. Their thoughts were racing. Their heart was beating faster. They needed to be alone because they could feel emotion rising, and they did not want anyone to witness the moment their carefully protected story began falling apart. They found a quiet place. And there, the truth became even louder. They asked themselves a question they had avoided for a long time: what if I misunderstood everything? The moment that question entered their mind, memories began returning in a different light. Words they once judged as cold suddenly sounded wounded. Moments they called confusing began to look like fear. Your restraint no longer looked like a lack of love. It looked like someone trying to protect a heart that had already been disappointed too many times. Your soulmate began connecting details they had ignored. They remembered how you stayed when it would have been easier to leave. They remembered how you noticed what others overlooked. They remembered the gentleness you offered without demanding recognition. They remembered that even when you were hurt, you did not try to destroy them. And then they remembered the last moment when everything could have changed, if only one of you had spoken more honestly. Do not leave this message yet. The next part of what they realized is why they now feel such urgency to contact you. Your soulmate suddenly understood that time is no longer standing still. They had unconsciously believed you would always remain emotionally available, that the invisible connection would wait until they became ready, that your heart would somehow pause while they sorted through their fears. But something they learned today made them recognize that your life is moving. You are changing. You are becoming stronger. You are learning not to chase clarity from people who offer confusion. And whether they know the details or not, your soulmate can feel that you are approaching a threshold. A part of you is becoming ready to release what once kept you waiting. That possibility shook them. Not because they want to control you. Not because heaven is asking you to stop your life for them. But because they finally realized that losing access to your heart would not feel like losing an option. It would feel like losing the one person who saw them beneath every mask. Something big happened inside them today. The illusion of unlimited time disappeared. Now they need to talk to you immediately because the words they postponed no longer feel safe to postpone. They want to explain why they became distant. They want to tell you what was happening beneath the silence. They want to admit that their hesitation was never a measure of your worth. And there is something else, something they have not told anyone completely. For a long time, they have carried a private fear connected to you. This fear did not begin with anything you did. It began long before you entered their life. It came from an earlier wound, a broken promise, a betrayal, or a moment when they trusted someone and felt foolish for believing. When they met you, the connection awakened hope. But it also awakened that old fear. You became important too quickly. You reached a part of them they had learned to keep hidden. They could imagine a future with you, and that frightened them more than they ever admitted. Because when someone has survived disappointment, hope can feel dangerous. Love can feel like standing at the edge of something beautiful without knowing whether the ground will hold. So they pulled back. They tested the connection without telling you. They waited to see whether you would fight for them, while giving you no clear reason to stay. They expected you to understand feelings they never expressed. And when you protected your dignity, they misread your strength as a lack of love. Today, they finally saw the unfairness of that. A wave of regret came over them so strongly that they had to stop what they were doing. They began remembering the moments when you offered them openings to speak. They saw how many chances existed between the two of you, chances that disappeared because both hearts were waiting for the other to become brave first. But the revelation did not end there. Something even more unexpected followed. As your soulmate was sitting with these thoughts, their phone lit up. For 1 second, they believed it might be you. Their heart reacted before their mind could correct it. They reached for the phone immediately, and that single instinct revealed what they had been trying to deny. No matter how much time has passed, some part of them is still waiting for your name to appear. It was not you. But the message they received carried a strange connection to you. It mentioned a place, a date, a promise, or a possibility tied to the future. To anyone else, it would have seemed ordinary. To your soulmate, it felt like another piece of a pattern. They had just learned the truth about your silence. They had just confronted the possibility of losing you. And now, in the same hour, another reminder appeared. This is why they feel as though something larger is pressing against their heart. My child, whether you call it intuition, timing, emotional awakening, or divine alignment, the effect is the same. Your soulmate can no longer pretend they feel nothing. They began pacing. They opened your old messages. They searched for a photograph they had promised themselves they would stop looking at. They reread words that once confused them, and this time they noticed the feeling beneath them. One message affected them deeply. It was something simple you wrote. Perhaps you said you understood. Perhaps you wished them peace. Perhaps you told them you would not force them to choose you. At the time, they may have interpreted your words as closure. But today, they saw the hidden pain inside your grace. You were not walking away because you did not care. You were walking away because caring without clarity was breaking you. That truth brought tears to their eyes. Not dramatic tears meant to be seen. Quiet tears. The kind that come when a person realizes they were loved more sincerely than they understood. Do not skip now. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate's urgency is not only about the past. It is about a decision they may have to make very soon. There is a change approaching in their life. An opportunity, a journey, a family expectation, a personal commitment, or a decision that could reshape their future is drawing closer. They had planned to make this decision without involving you. They believed it would be easier to choose a direction and accept whatever happened afterward. But what they discovered today changed that. Now they feel they cannot move forward without first telling you the truth. They do not want to make another major choice while pretending your connection does not matter. They know that whatever they decide next could widen the distance permanently, or create the first real opening the two of you have had in a long time. This is why their soul feels restless. They are not only thinking about contacting you. They have started forming the words. They typed a message. Then deleted it. They typed another one, longer and more honest. Then fear returned. What if you do not respond? What if you have already moved on? What if the truth comes too late? What if opening the door only confirms that it has already closed? These questions stopped their hand. But they did not erase the desire. In fact, the fear revealed how much the conversation matters. Your soulmate does not want to send another vague message. They do not want to appear and disappear again. Deep inside, they know that if they reach out now, they must come with honesty. That is what makes this moment different. Before, they wanted contact without vulnerability. Now, they understand there can be no true contact without it. Before, they wanted reassurance before taking a risk. Now, they are beginning to see that love sometimes requires taking the risk first. Before, they waited for you to prove the connection. Now, they are questioning whether it is finally their turn to prove they are willing to protect it. My beloved child, heaven is not asking you to chase, beg, or abandon your boundaries. This message is not telling you to freeze your life and wait beside a closed door. It is revealing an emotional shift, a moment when someone who has hidden behind uncertainty is being confronted by the cost of remaining silent. You must remember who you have become. You have survived nights when you questioned your worth. You have carried unanswered questions without allowing them to turn your heart bitter. You have learned that love should not demand the destruction of your peace. And now, if a conversation comes, you must enter it not as the version of you who once feared being abandoned, but as the version of you who knows that honesty is the minimum requirement for anything sacred to grow. Your soulmate senses this change in you. That is another reason they are nervous. They know they cannot return with the same excuses. They know a beautiful apology without changed behavior will not be enough. They know you have reached a place where words must be supported by truth, consistency, and courage. And strangely, instead of pushing them away, this realization is calling something stronger out of them. For the first time, they are not only asking, "Does this person still care about me?" They are asking, "Am I ready to love them in the way they deserve?" That question is transforming the urgency into something deeper. They are reviewing their choices. They are confronting their habits. They are realizing that the greatest obstacle between you may never have been fate, distance, another person, or bad timing. It may have been the fear of being fully seen. You saw them. That was the gift. And that was also what terrified them. Because when someone truly sees you, you can no longer hide behind the version of yourself that the world accepts. You must face your wounds, your contradictions, and the promises you keep delaying. Your soulmate is facing those things now. Stay till the end. The final revelation of this part is the reason the conversation may happen sooner than expected. After reading your old words, your soulmate closed their eyes and imagined hearing your voice. Not the voice they created in fear, but your real voice. They imagined what you might say if they finally admitted everything. And for a moment, they felt peace. That peace did not come from knowing how you would respond. It came from knowing that truth would finally be spoken. They realized that the uncertainty has become heavier than the risk. The silence has become more painful than the possibility of rejection. The unspoken words have become impossible to carry. So they made a choice. Not the final choice. Not yet. But a choice that started the movement. They saved the message instead of deleting it. They looked at your name for a long time. They changed one sentence because it sounded too guarded. Then they added the words they had been avoiding. The words that revealed this was not casual. They wrote that something happened today. They wrote that it changed what they believed. They wrote that they needed to speak with you before making an important decision. And then they stopped. Because just as they were about to press send, another message appeared on their screen. This time, it came from someone directly connected to the situation that separated you. Your soulmate opened it. They read the first line. Their face changed. Because the person had finally admitted the one truth your soulmate never expected to hear, and that truth was not only about the past. It was about you. It was about why the distance really began. And it revealed that someone had known far more about your connection than either of you realized. Your soulmate stared at the screen, unable to move, because the next sentence contained a name. A name they trusted. A name you may recognize. And beneath that name was a confession that could change everything between you.